What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. What a wonderful weekend we have in front of us. What a wonderful story we have in front of us as well. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent. I'm co-hosted here with Mr. Alien as well as Dead Kitty. And we've always got the Zen Bigfoot as well as the crazy alien Doggy. Now, hopefully you guys are enjoying it. We're continuing to update the lab as we speak. Got new lights, got more lights, got lights everywhere, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, guys, strange, scary, maybe not so scary news coming up in front of us as the fall and the winter are coming upon us. Now, as most people are probably thinking about pumpkins and haunted houses and apple pie and things of this nature and carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. Now, some people are stating that we are going to go back into lockdown status as COVID now continues to rage. And this is something new that I just found out because I hadn't heard about this. I'm actually one of those dudes that, didn't really want to go anywhere, worked at home. I was unemployed actually during COVID, and I was like, you know what, I don't have anywhere to be. I'm not going to go out. So I didn't really do a whole lot. And now, I'm feeling good. I'm going out. I'm not masking, doing any of that. And now all of a sudden, I'm hearing all these stories on TikTok and now on CNN and NBC and all the, major news networks that are stating now they're looking into possibly masking again because there's this COVID variant in Canada. And Alex Jones, whether you like him or not, stated that he talked with the TSA and the the U.S. Border Patrol and some other higher officials that stated that they're going to go into these soft COVID restrictions where they're doing masking in the fall, and then they stated by December they're going to be in full COVID lockdowns again. So check that out. So now we have to investigate this story and find out what's going on, because this is our future at stake here. This is what killed the American economy, and that's why nobody can afford jack shizzle nizzle anymore, and we're all broke. Okay, so we got to really ask ourselves, is this really worth it? I think it's, there's a lot of people on both sides of the divide. If you had anybody that passed, you might be on the defense. You might say, hey, I really want to mask up. Again, if there's really a big threat. A lot of people are saying I already had COVID 3, 4, 5, 15 times, like me. I've had it 4 times already, and it was rough the first time, got better the second time, got better the third time. But that's not to say that, everybody's immune to everything, right? Anybody can kick it at any time. So let's check this out here, okay? Let's see what's up with this particular claim. So I'll pull it up here. Now here's a fact checker story, okay? It says there's no support for a viral claim that COVID-19 lockdowns are returning this fall. You gotta love these fact checkers, right? Especially across Facebook and Instagram and all these big owned social media sites where they quote unquote fact checked you. Well, guess what? If they have to fact check you, likely you're doing something right. Okay, so let's take a look. The full story is, in recent weeks, COVID-19 cases are estimated by wastewater data, right? They estimate it by how much is in our wastewater, and they base it on COVID-19 hospitalizations. They've been on the rise, as Omicron was kind of a big issue for a while, but now there's a lot of public health experts that are stating that people who are higher risk of COVID-19 should wear masks out in public and should be more cautious about contracting the coronavirus. So this is on factcheck.org if you want. Again, factcheck.org isn't the best place to be grabbing a whole bunch of info, right? Because they're pushing aside Alex Jones. If you like my podcast, you might like Alex Jones' podcast because we're both kind of conspiracy nuts, right? Now, I don't agree with everything he says, and he probably might not agree with everything I say, but the dude does get a lot of things right. I'm not saying everything he says is right, but when it comes to the atrazine, talking about turning the freaking frogs gay, right? Remember that? He was right. That was fact checked. The atrazine that they were using for pesticides in farmers, and they used like 90 million pounds of it each year, was turning male frogs into female frogs, 100%. And that was actually an NIH national NHI or whatever National Health Institution did a study on that. So that was actually proven to be true. So he's not wrong, right, on some things. He went out with Jesse Ventura during the conspiracy theory show that he did. They talked to a doctor who stated that she was in on the injections that they were going to be rolling out. This was back in like 2008 when he was doing his show. So, they talked about how these injections are going to be voluntary, and then they're going to hurt people overall. If you took the shot, hey, I don't have any problems with you. I just think that, I don't always believe everything the government tells us. So this story was pushed on Alex Jones' show, but it was also pushed on other shows. It was on an August 18th show. Well, today is August 26th. Okay, so it was only 8 days ago. And Alex stated that he specifically spoke with a high-level manager in the TSA, Transportation Security Administration. Okay, these guys are high up. They get information from on high, and they know what kind of protocols are going to be put in place in the coming months. So, if they're getting information about the way things are going to change, they're getting information from the higher up that know things are going to change, right? So he stated that this TSA administration high-level manager told him that by mid-September, we're talking about a few weeks away, TSA and airport employees would be required to wear masks due to concerns of a new variant in Canada. By mid-October, 2 months away, or less than 2 months away, everyone would have to wear masks on airplanes again. He stated, and he added that the public should expect by December a return to full COVID protocols. Full COVID protocols. That means anywhere you go, you have to wear a mask. Anywhere you go, you may need a shot record. Well, it sucks for some of us who didn't get the shot. So, yeah, there's some issues there. Jones then stated that he called a source within the Customs and Border Protection after hearing this, that sources allegedly told him to expect COVID protocols to begin rolling out in mid-September to get ready for a whole new rollout of what happened before. That's the exact quote, to get ready for a whole new rollout of what happened before. Now, this is particularly interesting because if we go back, Sylvia Browne, the psychic, wrote in her book, before she passed, she's been gone now, she wrote in her book that she said an acute respiratory pneumonia-like disease would come about in 2020. It would come around for a while. No one would know how to treat it. And then it would disappear as fast and as mysteriously as it had appeared. Then it would come back 10 years later, stronger, and then it would be gone for forever. Now, if it comes back stronger, it's going to kill more people, right? In theory, depending on what you believe. Now, if that's the case, it would be an issue. We would have more people getting sick. We would have more COVID protocols. We probably would have some lockdowns if there's a bunch of people dropping and shutting down hospitals, right? So could it be that Sylvia got it wrong, a couple years off here and there? When you're talking about a medium, it's not an exact science. But she got 2020 on the friggin' dot. on the frickin' dot, man. 2020 on the dot in her book, and this before she passed. And so it could be that it comes earlier. It could be that this is just like a minor flap, but it is a strong flap. And it could be that 10 years down the line, we do get a big one. But this could be a big one. If they're going to go back to full COVID protocols again, it just blows my mind. Here, let me show you what I remember. Right? These are the people that I remember from COVID. This is what I think about when I think about COVID. I think about all the nurses and all the work that they did and all the tough times that we had. To bring that back and to remember these images as I'll bring them up here is very difficult for me to remember. When we see stuff like this, okay? When we see those super nurses, the nurses that had the Superman mask on, they were the heroes, and then they didn't get the shot, so therefore, they got fired. Remember that? Yeah, that was cool. When we fired all the nurses because they wouldn't get the shot because they were afraid of all the clots that were coming in from it. Yeah, that wouldn't be great. So, and this is another picture I remember vividly. Like if this stuff starts happening again, like this is going to be what's in people's minds. Okay, it's going to be the nurse versus COVID. Remember that one? The nurse battling COVID, like with her fist up in the air, like fighting it. Yeah, this is what we're going to see. Okay, we're going to see stuff like this popping up all over the place, and it's going to be it's just going to be a goddamn nightmare, man. It's just going to be a goddamn nightmare. So, what do you say? Would you comply with these requirements if they were required again? Would you put on a mask if it would save somebody? All right, you remember this one? I mean, this lady, this artwork right here, truly terrifying. I'm just gonna try to put my hand up here so we can see it just a little bit better. But this artwork right here, like, this instilled, I think, a lot of fear in the nation, but also a lot of strength in our nation as well. I know it's really just good, not very great, but you remember this one. Okay, so what can we do? What's the next step? Well, let's take a look and go back to the article here and see what they state in the article and see if there's any veracity to this story. Okay, so let's check it out. So we've got so this episode headlined on Alex Jones's InfoWars site, as he states federal officials blow the whistle on Biden's plan for new COVID lockdowns. So clips started circulating all over the place. They went out to different websites, and even "do not comply" as a hashtag briefly trended on Twitter, now known as X. God knows that's a freaking disaster. But that now is trending, right? So whether it comes from Jones or not, the rumor that the COVID-19 restrictions might be coming back has also been picked up by some politicians. And it states that Republican Representative Tom Massey of Kentucky stated on August 25th, yesterday, he stated, "Do not comply. If bureaucrats try to reinstate any COVID tyranny measures, resist them with a vengeance." Why do you think that is? Because it killed the economy. Yes, it probably did save people, but it also killed our economy. Nobody can afford to live anymore. Prices went through the roof, and a lot of us can't even afford our houses anymore, or your apartments, or your whatever you have. You know what I mean? So there's lots of issues going on as a result of what happened with COVID. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember during lockdowns, right? Interestingly enough, I initiated this podcast. The very first podcast we had was March 2020. It had nothing to do with lockdowns as a result of COVID. The name Lockdown Universe is more a result of the idea of us being kind of locked into this planet and this universe and possibly underneath the overlords of reptilians and other species. It had nothing to do with COVID, because I originally created the Facebook page back in September 2019, or maybe even earlier than that, maybe July or August of 2019. So it was before COVID even was known, at least the novel virus. So no basis, they say there's no basis for this at all. TSA is unaware of such a requirement, quote unquote, a spokesperson told the factcheck.org in an email. There was no TSA meeting on the topic. The CDC similarly state that the claims are untrue. Of course they are, man. They're trying to keep it under wraps. What if it doesn't happen? What if they don't initiate these protocols? They don't want to initiate panic and fear in everybody, and they don't want people to take to the streets. So of course they're not going to just bust this out if there's no need for it, right? It's just stupid. So they're not going to do that. They state that all of the Biden administration talk of reimposing lockdowns is not even legally feasible, according to factcheck.org. The restrictions that were put into place on businesses, on going into the movie theater, going into retail mall, all of those were done by states and local governments, not by the federal government. Sorry. The public, and that was from public health law expert at Northeastern University, Wendy E. Parmet. The federal government did advise states on restrictions, including when to lift them. But remember, they were state by state. Remember all those dudes rolling up into Michigan in their SUVs and their big flags and no masks, and they took over the Capitol there in Michigan. I mean, it was a big to do. I think it was the Capitol in Michigan anyway, but they blocked all the streets. I mean, it was a whole freaking thing. They were like, we're done with this. We're losing our money. These were like contractor guys, and they were just like taking over the area around the Capitol. It was a big deal, interestingly enough, and it's almost like art imitates life. The same thing happened when in the show Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland, and it was Michigan that was the problem state again. It was kind of interesting where the governor was refusing to follow the president's orders. But I think it would be not possible, right? I think like you could have governors like even states like Illinois, New York, California. They can recommend you wear masks. They can suggest you wear masks. But now I think America, at least, just America, and might be other countries too, but America, we're so pig-headed. We're so like stubborn. We're so against the government telling us what to do. And it's probably from our past, but we don't follow what the government tells us. We're like kind of independent. If they want us to wear a mask, you can wear a mask or you can not. It's up to you. But they stated that the agency currently advises, the CDC currently advises higher risk people and their contacts to mask up when a person's county level hospital admission level is at medium. When it's high, everyone is advised to wear high quality mask or respirator, such as an N95, and higher risk people are advised to avoid non-essential indoor activities in public. But again, these are just recommendations. As of August 12th, no counties were listed as high. Fewer than 3% are medium. So what they're doing is they've warned people. Okay, they've warned agencies that this new variant in Canada, which is crazy. Canada's like super cold. There's never anything that comes out of Canada. I mean, I know it's not super cold right now, but I mean, Jesus, when do they ever have anything that's super, super threatening? It's not like Ebola comes from freaking Canada. It's not like dysentery comes from Canada. It's not like much comes from Canada, except for the Sweet Bare Naked Ladies. Don't get me wrong. And that's a nice band. But, it's weird that it would come from Canada. But it's also interesting that we have these medical labs, these testing labs, all over in the Ukraine. And now there's a big fight in the Ukraine, right? There's a big war over there. Could that have something to do with this new variant that's going on with Canada? That's possible as well. Um, they state that we will likely see an increase in COVID-19 related illnesses as well as deaths. However, they will not be as elevated as in 2020 or 2021, that we all have this kind of acquired immunity, whether it's from the shot or from getting sick, and that we can get it, but it probably won't kill you, right? Probably. So that's what we have. Again, though, we do have Sylvia Browne that stated that this would come back stronger. So, do we take her into account and her reporting from the other side and say, okay, hey, you know what, maybe this is the big one, it's just a few years later, but hey, let's take precautions? Or do we say, hey, you know what, I have an immune system, I'm going to roll with it? The thing about this is that everything about COVID-19 seemed like it was a bunch of bullshit. It just seemed like it came out of nowhere. They said it came from the Wuhan fresh market, and then we had a bunch of people say that there was some sort of leak that happened out of Wuhan, the Wuhan Virology Center, the research lab there, that people were told to shut up and be quiet in China, don't say anything. People were getting sick, they didn't know why. And I remember getting sick in January 2020, and I went into the doctors and they're like, oh yeah, that COVID over in China, well, it's going to get here eventually. I'm pretty sure I goddamn had it in January 2020 because I could not breathe and I thought I was going to die. And I went into the ER and they were like, yeah, they took x-rays and they were like, you have pleural effusion. You have fluid around your lungs, and your lungs are all effed up. And they gave me a big ass needle in my arm and legs with antibiotics, and I started feeling better. And they gave me a whole bunch of other stuff. But I was still relatively young, but man, I was out, dude. I was pretty close. I was pretty close to kicking it. So I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying it's super sketchy that the way it all kind of came about, and all the rumors, and that they were able to come up with a shot so quickly, so fast, and with a new technology. And, they could come up and cure or, give us an immunity to the virus that fast within a year. But they can't cure cancer. They can't cure breast cancer. They can't cure testicular cancer. They can't cure these cancers that should be able to be cured. They can't cure the common cold that fast. There's no shot for the common cold. How can they create a shot that's so fast it can knock out this COVID thing? And then we found out that it didn't even work 100% like they told us it was going to do. Now we have to keep going in for these boosters and all that. When does it end? So I think that when it comes to this lockdown situation, I think that we have to look at both sides, the good and the bad. Did it provide us what they told us it was going to provide? Did it shorten the curve? It might have temporarily shortened the curve, but in the long run, everybody got it. And in the long run, you can't keep people at home nonstop because it kills the economy. And I know it seems stupid to say, oh, we got to make money, blah, blah, blah. But look at the position we're in now. Look at the position we're in now, where we can't afford our houses. All the prices of all the supplies to make houses went up exponentially. People can't afford their homes. They lost their homes. People can't afford to buy homes now because the interest rates are too high, and the price of housing just skyrocketed by 150%. So here we are. We're at this crossroads, and the globalists, like Jones says, those who want a global economy, a global government, a global currency, digital, like the Fed now in the U.S. They didn't go with Bitcoin. They didn't go with XRP. They made their own. These folks, they don't care. They don't care if you lose your house. We have to care. it's like they say, there's no justice, there's just us, you and I. And we have to take care of each other and take care of ourselves. So, what will you do during this time if what Jones says is true? If they start to implement lockdowns, if they make your kids stay home again to do school, if they make you stay home again to do work again, if they tell you to even do something as minor as masking up. And I know some people had such a goddamn problem with that. It's just a piece of paper. But whatever, would you do it? I don't think a lot of people in America are going to do that. I can tell you maybe in the cities they'll do it. But I'll tell you that I've gone into the cities and I've also gone out into the country. And I'll tell you one thing. Country people don't give a shit what city people do. They're going to do what they want to do. The city people are going to probably do what is advised. The country people, they're going to do things the way they're used to doing things, and they don't care about wearing masks. And they don't care about a whole bunch of lockdowns either. They were the first to give their kids back to school. They were the first people to let their people go back to work. They were the first to let people not wear masks at work, that kind of thing. So, unless this virus turns into like a super deadly virus that just starts killing people left and right, like at a 50% rate, I just don't see it. What would happen if there was a lockdown again? That would be interesting. I mean, it was totally unimaginable to live through it. I mean, it was totally bizarre, right? Everything stopped. Total silence outside. No cars driving. Nobody outside really doing much of anything. People inside glued to their tube. Didn't know if they could breathe the air outside. Maybe wearing masks in their car. I mean, it was totally insane and bizarre. Even Saturday Night Live was doing sketches at home with their people at home, sending the videos in and comprising an entire episode off of people's cell phones. I mean, it was totally mind-blowing. Could it happen again? You goddamn right it could happen again, 100%. And I don't care what anybody says. It could and most likely will happen. It's happened in the past. We've done quarantining before in the history of this country. We've done it in 2020. You're telling me it can't happen again? It can 100% happen again. Will it be for the good? Will it be for the bad? That's up for you to decide. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I've enjoyed this podcast. I love all of you. I love all of the nurses that busted their ass during COVID, because I've worked with them. I know how hard their job is before COVID. I've talked to the nurses that I used to work with after and during COVID. Many of them did leave the field. Many of them left. Many people who weren't even nurses left the field. People who were in respiratory care left the field because they didn't want to get the shot. They weren't taken seriously. Their needs weren't met. I'm not saying don't or do. I'm saying it's a very interesting time to live in. So, thank you to those who took care of us. Thank you to those who see the path forward. Thank you to those who listen to the podcast. And I hope that we don't have to go through another lockdown situation. But if so, I will be here for you. I will continue to produce podcasts, and we will talk about things as we move forward and what it might mean and who might be behind it, and if there is some sort of hidden agenda here. Maybe that'll be something we get into. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. I wanted to see what you guys thought. It could be a psyop. It could be something where they're seeing how far they can push us into being locked in and not coming out of our homes. They tested us once. They could test us again. They could initiate military control, martial law. So there's lots of things that could happen. So anyway, guys, stay safe. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Do what you feel is right. Please like, follow, and subscribe. That's going to help us grow. Leave a comment, leave a rating, whatever the case is, on any podcast app that you listen to. A lot of people are listening on Apple. A lot of people listen on iTunes. A lot of people listen on Spotify. You can leave ratings there. Please do that for me. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. Take care of your physical health, spiritual health, emotional health. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Go like, follow, subscribe. And Lockdown Universe is out.